Welcome back. Now, a team of British Paralympians set off tomorrow on what they hope will be a successful qualifying campaign for next year's Winter Games in Russia. But their sport is not one with which many in this country will be familiar. Sledge hockey is the Paralympic version of ice hockey, and like its sister sport, it can be ferociously competitive. Our sports correspondent, Kamian Zeram, has been hearing from the team on just why they do it.
I just love that feeling on the ice, that freedom where you're in a sledge and the coldness.
It's such a fast-paced, action-packed sport, physical, full contact. It's just great fun.
Padding and pucks on a sledge, the Paralympic version of ice hockey. Certainly not for the faint-hearted, as GB's goaltender will attest.
It is a full contact sport. I mean, these guys can fling the puck at me up to about 70, 80 miles an hour. And, obviously, I'm not on stand-up, so it hits my head a lot. So I like that, though. I like that little bit of rattle and shake. It really gets me in the mood, makes me prepared and I would say on my toes, but they don't work too well.
And while the Summer Games introduced us to wheelchair rugby or murder ball, sledge hockey, like its non-disabled equivalent, requires full body armour.
I think it's even rougher. You know, some of the collisions that happen on the ice, and you hear this metal on metal, and you think, oh, that's going to hurt. A bit like murder ball, you know, and this is sort of parallel to the wheelchair rugby. Yeah, full contact. This padding doesn't really protect you, and there's a few nasty scrapes. But I mean, that's just part of it, and that's why we do it, because we love that.
A year from now, GB's sledge hockey team hope to be in Sochi, Russia, for the opening weekend of the winter equivalent to London 2012. There are currently 5 disciplines in the Winter Paralympics. GB aren't entering a team in biathlon, a mixture of cross-country skiing and rifle shooting, but they are in the 4 other sports: alpine or downhill skiing, Nordic or cross-country skiing, curling and sledge hockey. It's a sport many Britons will never have heard of, with only one criteria for playing at elite level. There are no complicated classifications or formulae. Each player must have a lower body disability that renders standing ice hockey impossible, be that amputation, paralysis or palsy, unlike wheelchair basketball, for example, where the players on any given team must span a range of impairments. And the success of London 2012 has already attracted new players and teams.
Momentum from 2012 London has certainly helped us a lot, and we just got to carry that forward and going into Japan and hope we get to the qualifiers and future events like that.
GB sledge hopefuls compete this weekend at the World B Championships in Japan, where they must finish 3rd to be in with a chance of qualifying for Sochi. They'll still have to get through an additional tournament, though, against the likes of the winter sports giants, such as Canada and Norway.
You know, those guys, the Canadians in particular, they're professional athletes, paid to play, and we're just trying to compete with those boys and do the best that we can.
And that's what it comes down to. Come Sochi, you guys, you know, it's a bit like kind of San Marino or the Faroe Islands playing England.
I'm hoping a notch slightly above that, but yeah, no, we're doing the best we can. Our aim is to be up medalling by 2018.
But here, this sport is still pretty niche. The National League has just 6 teams, with the best players, the GB squad, travelling from far and wide to Milton Keynes once a week to practice after work in the dead of night.
We normally start at around midnight and go on to about 2:30, somewhere around there, 2:30. Depending where you are in the country as well, I've drove 100 miles to get here tonight for training. So if you're finishing at 2 o'clock in the morning, sometimes I don't get back till 5 in the morning. So it's one of those, it does take over your weekends if you're not careful.
You've got to be really committed. I mean, we're not funded in any way, and you know, it's self-funded. We do this for the love of the game, really. So, you know, we're up late, you get to bed early, 5 o'clock in the morning, and you know, and then you've got work next day.
There are 52 weeks and counting till Sochi. GB have qualified for sledge hockey before in Turin 2006, even managed to beat the hosts, Italy, to avoid the last place wooden spoon. They'll be hoping the spirit of 2012 carries them through.